Lena lived in a small village near the river. She was kind, hardworking, and loved to help others. One day, while walking home from the market, she saw an old man sitting by the road. He looked tired and hungry. "Are you okay, sir?" Lena asked. The old man smiled weakly. "I have traveled far and have no food," he said. Lena quickly gave him some bread and water from her basket. "Here, please eat," she said kindly. The old man ate and thanked her. Then he looked into her eyes and said, "You have a kind heart, young lady. One day, love will find you when you least expect it." Lena laughed. She did not believe in love. She was always busy with work and had no time for such things. She thanked the old man and continued her way home. But that night, as she lay in bed, she kept thinking about his words. Who would love her? And when would love find her? The next morning, Lena went to the river to fetch water. As she filled her bucket, she heard a voice behind her. "Excuse me, do you need help?" She turned around and saw a young man. He had warm brown eyes and a gentle smile. "I'm Daniel," he said. "I'm new to this village." Lena hesitated, but then nodded. "I'm Lena." Daniel helped her carry the heavy bucket back to her house. On the way, they talked and laughed. He told her he was a carpenter, looking for work in the village. Lena felt comfortable with him, as if they had known each other forever. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and Lena became good friends. He often helped her with chores, and she showed him around the village. One evening, as they sat by the river, Daniel looked at Lena and said, "I think the old man was right." Lena frowned. "What do you mean?" Daniel smiled. "Love finds you when you least expect it." Lena's heart skipped a beat. Could it be true? Was this the love she never believed in? Lena looked at Daniel, her heart pounding. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. "But how do you know?" she asked softly. Daniel chuckled. "Because every time I see you, I feel at home. You are kind, strong, and you make life brighter." Lena didn't know what to say. She had always believed love was something distant, something that happened to others, not her. But now, looking into Daniel's warm eyes, she felt something new, something real. The days passed, and their bond grew stronger. The village noticed how they were always together, how they laughed and worked side by side. One evening, as the sun set over the river, Daniel took Lena's hand. "Lena, I came to this village looking for work, but I found something more precious. I found you. Will you let me stay by your side forever?" Tears filled Lena's eyes, but they were happy tears. She finally understood what the old man had meant. Love had found her when she least expected it. Smiling, she nodded. "Yes, Daniel, I will." And so, their love story began, a promise made by fate, fulfilled by two hearts that found each other. Lena and Daniel's love grew stronger with each passing day. They worked together, laughed together, and dreamed of a future side by side. The village cheered for their love, and soon they decided to get married. On the day of their wedding, the entire village gathered to celebrate. Flowers decorated the small chapel, and music filled the air. Lena wore a simple yet beautiful white dress, and Daniel stood proudly, waiting for her. As she walked toward him, Lena suddenly noticed an old man standing at the back of the crowd, the same old man she had helped months ago. He smiled at her and nodded, as if he had known this moment would come. After the ceremony, Lena looked for the old man, but he was gone. She asked the villagers if they had seen him, but no one knew who he was. Daniel took her hand. "Maybe he was a messenger of fate," he said. Lena smiled. "Maybe. But one thing is certain. His words came true." Hand in hand, Lena and Daniel started their new life together, proving that love truly finds us when we least expect it. Lena and Daniel's life together was filled with happiness. They built a small home near the river, where the sound of flowing water reminded them of their first meeting. The village supported them, and Daniel's carpentry skills became well known. One evening, as Lena prepared dinner, Daniel walked in with a thoughtful look. "Lena," he said, "do you ever wonder about the old man? Who he really was?" She nodded. "I do. Sometimes I feel like he wasn't just an ordinary traveler." Daniel smiled. "Maybe he was sent to guide us." As the seasons passed, Lena and Daniel's love deepened. Soon they received the most wonderful news. Lena was expecting a child. Their hearts overflowed with joy, and the village rejoiced with them. One day, as Lena sat by the river, she heard a familiar voice. "You have been blessed, child." She turned around quickly, but there was no one there. A gentle breeze brushed her face, and she felt warmth in her heart. Lena smiled to herself. Perhaps the old man was watching over them, ensuring that love and happiness remained in their lives. As she placed a hand on her growing belly, she whispered, "Thank you." Months passed, and Lena's belly grew. Daniel was always by her side, taking care of her and making sure she had everything she needed. The village women helped her prepare for the baby, sewing tiny clothes and sharing advice. One stormy night, Lena woke up with pain. The baby was coming. Daniel rushed to call the village midwife, and soon, the small house was filled with warm candlelight and quiet voices. Hours later, the cries of a newborn filled the air. "It's a boy!" the midwife announced, placing the baby in Lena's arms. Tears filled Lena's eyes as she looked at her son. He had Daniel's warm brown eyes and her soft, gentle features. Daniel kissed her forehead. "He's perfect." As they held their son, a soft knock came at the door. Daniel opened it, but no one was there. Instead, on the doorstep lay a small wooden carving of a man holding a baby. Lena gasped. "It's him!" Daniel picked up the carving and smiled. "The old man. He's still watching over us." Lena held her son close and whispered, "We will name him after the man who brought love into our lives." And so, their son was named Elias, a reminder that love, fate, and kindness always find a way back to those who believe in them. Little Elias grew quickly, bringing joy and laughter into Lena and Daniel's home. He was a curious child, always asking questions and exploring the village. The villagers adored him, often saying, "He has the same kindness as his mother and the strength of his father." One day, when Elias was 5 years old, he ran to his parents with excitement. "Mama, Papa, I saw an old man by the river." Lena and Daniel exchanged surprised looks. "What old man, my love?" Lena asked gently. Elias smiled brightly. "He had kind eyes and a long beard. He told me, 'You are special, little one. Always follow your heart.' Then he disappeared." Daniel knelt beside his son. "Did he say anything else?" Elias nodded. "He said love is the greatest gift, and I must always protect it." Lena's heart filled with warmth. She knew deep down that the mysterious old man had never truly left them. He had guided her to love, blessed her family, and now he was watching over their son. As the sun set over the river, Lena, Daniel, and Elias stood together, feeling the presence of something greater than themselves, a promise of love that would last for generations. Years passed, and Elias grew into a strong, kind-hearted young man. He helped his father with carpentry and often accompanied his mother to the market, where he greeted everyone with a warm smile. The villagers adored him, just as they had his parents. One evening, as Elias sat by the river, he heard footsteps behind him. Turning around, he saw a young woman with golden brown hair and bright green eyes. She looked lost, her dress slightly torn as if she had been traveling for a long time. "Are you okay?" Elias asked, standing up. The young woman hesitated, but then nodded. I don't know where to go. My village was destroyed by a fire. I have no home. Elias felt a strong sense of familiarity, as if he had met her before. Come with me, he said gently. My parents will help you. Lena and Daniel welcomed the girl into their home, giving her food and a place to rest. Her name was Isabella, and as days turned into weeks, she became a part of their family. She helped Lena with cooking, played with the village children, and even learned some carpentry from Daniel. Elias found himself drawn to her kindness and strength. One day, as they walked by the river, Isabella sighed. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't found me that night, she said softly. Elias smiled. Maybe it wasn't just luck. Maybe it was fate. Isabella looked into his eyes, and at that moment, she felt it too, the same feeling Lena once had when she met Daniel. Somewhere in the distance, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying the voice of an old man. Love will always find its way. And so, the promise of love continued, passing from one heart to another, forever unbroken.